All right. Shalom, family. It's your brother Kanaiba coming at you once again with this video titled, Israelite Man, Stop Falling for the Oldest Trick in the Book, especially in these last days. Dream Edition. Okay, so obviously this particular video is going to be based upon a dream that I had, right? And this was a dream that I had. It was Wednesday night going into Thursday. Okay, that's when I had this particular dream. Okay, and I'm just now really getting time to actually do a video about it. Okay, but as always, whenever I do a video about a dream that I had, I'm gonna first, tell what the dream was about. Then, I'll give, my interpretation on what the dream actually meant. My critique on what I believe the dream actually meant, and go into the precepts. Really, giving more clarity to the dream. Okay, but in this particular dream that I had, it actually took place at a school. It looked more like a high school. Okay, and the dream opened up with me in a classroom with, a bunch of other brothers, sitting at a desk, right? Now, the brothers that were actually in the classroom with me, I got the kind of vibe from them that, that they were kind of docile. Okay, they didn't really know what was going on. Okay, they were, for lack of a better term, they were like sheep being led to the slaughter. Okay, but I was really the only one that was really kind of aware of, my surroundings, because something didn't feel right when I was in the dream, in that particular classroom, right? So, like I said, they had this, just docile energy about them. So, I actually got up from the desk and, I leave the classroom and I go out into the hallway, right? Now, I'm in the hallway and the scenery of the hallway, the scenery of the hallway is very dark. Okay, the hallway has a very dark and sinister feel to it, a dark and sinister look to it as well. Okay, and I'm walking down the hallway of this particular school, and all throughout the hallway, I see nothing but females actually in the hallway. Okay, and the females that I was passing in the hallway, they were dressed almost identical to the woman you see here in the thumbnail. Okay, they had a very sinister look to them. Okay, they were dressed like your stereotypical witch, so to speak. Okay, they had on a hooded garment, all of them that I was passing by. Okay, and they were all up and down the hallway. Okay, and like I said, this hallway had a very dark and sinister feel to it. But as I was walking down the hallway, for some reason I really didn't feel threatened. Okay, I knew that they really didn't have any good intentions. I knew something was up, and I just had this feeling that the brothers that were in the classrooms, that they were in danger. Okay, but for some reason, myself, I didn't feel threatened by these women. Okay, and they really seemed like they weren't really concerned with me. Okay, because they didn't try to do anything to me as I was passing by them, walking down the hallway of this school. Okay, so as I get to the end of the hallway, there's a flight of stairs. Okay, and so I go up this flight of stairs, and this flight of stairs actually leads to a room. Now, this room, it no longer, this particular room doesn't look like a classroom. It's more like a bedroom setting. Okay. So I walk into this particular room, which, really looks more like a bedroom. And of course, there's a bed in the room. And, I sit on the edge of the bed, right? And, at this point, one of the women actually walks into the room also. Okay. And it's at this point, and it's strange, but at this point in the dream, it's like I got a vision within the dream. In the dream, I was getting a vision of, a lot of those women that were in the hallway. What they were doing, they had a bottle full of what appeared to be a clear liquid substance that they were, spreading all on the floor of the hallway and throughout the high school. Okay. Now, this particular liquid substance that they were spraying on the floor, I perceived, or I came to the conclusion that it was gasoline. Okay. Because in this vision that I was having in the dream, I saw all the brothers that were in the classrooms. I pretty much saw downstairs it was being set on fire. Okay, and I saw, pretty much all the brothers that was in these classrooms, they were being destroyed by way of this fire. There was this fire that was had been started by, the females that were in these hooded garments. Okay. Now again, I'm upstairs in this room, with one of the females. Okay. And I forget what she said, but she said something like pertaining to they got what they deserve, or they pretty much got even with them, or something to that effect, like they got what they deserved. Okay, that's why I said these particular women in the dream, I knew that it seemed like they were out for vengeance or something along those lines. Okay, but they weren't really concerned with me, right? So after she said that, I responded by saying, I forget what exactly I said, but I said something along the lines of, well, we have to respect others, and something, or we have to respect everybody, or something along those lines. But it was at that point that I actually woke up from the dream. Okay. Now, here is what I believe the interpretation thereof is. Okay, here's the interpretation of the dream, according to my critique. Okay. So like I said, this whole dream, it took place in a school, what I believe was a high school, right? And more specifically, it started off in a classroom. Okay, so, just with that lets me know that this dream is supposed to be, there's a lesson to be learned from this particular dream. That's why I started off in a high school and in a classroom. Okay, and within this particular classroom, it was nothing but men. Okay, Israelite men. They were brothers. Okay, so this is a lesson to be learned. This is a lesson for Israelite men. Okay, this is why I, titled the video the way that I titled it. Okay, not to say that sisters can't learn from this particular video as well. Okay, but I believe this particular dream was more so for the Israelite men. Okay, so continuing on, and as I stated, when I was telling the dream, I noticed that all the brothers that were in the classroom, they seemed very docile, like they didn't really know what's going on. And, that's pretty self-explanatory. Just simply look at our brothers that's out there in the world today. Okay, it's really nothing but folly coming from them, because they don't know what's going on. Okay, they are very docile. Okay, They are not, and I hate to use this word, but they are not woke, for lack of a better term, to everything that's going on, okay? And especially when dealing with women. But I don't want to jump the gun. So, continuing on. So at that point, like I said, I left the classroom, and now I'm out in the hallway. And like I said, that this particular hallway, it was very dark and had a very sinister, look and feel to it. This particular hallway of this particular high school. Okay, so again, this lets me know that this hallway it represents danger. Okay, I'm walking down this hallway and it represents danger. All right, and looking at everybody that was in the hallway, with me while I'm walking down the hallway. Of course, like I said, it was all females, pretty much dressed like the female in the thumbnail here. Okay, they had on hooded garments. All right. Now, this is really going into the title of this particular video. It says, Israelite man, stop falling for the oldest trick in the book, especially in these last days. Now, what is the oldest trick in the book? What am I referring to? The oldest trick in the book is talking about how, the biggest downfall of men, or the number one pawn that's been used to cause the downfall of men have been what? It's been women. Okay, now I don't want anybody to get this twisted. This dream or this video was not about, bashing women or saying that women are inherently evil or wicked. That's not what this is about. Okay. But the truth is that, this is the oldest trick in the book, going all the way back to the beginning. Okay. You, Israelite man, you are the focus. Okay. Because you are the head. Okay. And if you cut off the head, the body will fall. Okay. So the plan is to destroy you. But the way Satan is going to do that is going to be, by way of the woman. He's always used the woman. Okay. And, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay. It's been working since the beginning of time. Okay. But I believe the point of this dream is that, in these last days, Satan is really going to turn it up, so to speak, by way of these women. Okay. I believe women are going to cause, a lot of brothers to actually be destroyed in these last days. Okay, it's going to be turned up even more because we are at the end. Okay, and I believe this video is supposed to be a warning. Okay, that's what this whole thing was about. That's why the women were wearing these hooded garments as if they were witches. Okay, because now we know there are a lot of women that are off into witchcraft in these days, but you have to understand that, these women themselves are under a spell. Okay, they're under witchcraft as well. Okay, so, a lot of them are quote unquote, suffering as well, so to speak, but not to get too far off course. But I believe that's what this particular dream is about. Okay, but the fact that I was the only one that was aware, okay, because I'm actually in this walk, I wasn't really harmed by the females. Okay, that's why I was able to walk down the hallway. Now, this particular hallway, what precept actually comes to mind, even though the hallway is not a valley. Okay, what precept comes to mind is the precept that says what? It says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And like I said, when I was walking down this hallway, I really didn't feel threatened by these women. Okay, even though I knew that, they had an agenda. It was something that they were up to. but I really wasn't, quote unquote, worried. All right. Now, of course, as the dream went on, like I said, I got to the end of the hallway, and there was a flight of stairs that led up to another room, which it was more like a bedroom. Okay, now I believe this bedroom represents rest. It represents, being delivered or deliverance, and it represents rest. Okay, because like I said, once I got there, that's when, I got the vision. I got the vision of the women that were downstairs. They were, spraying this clear substance upon the floor, and then everything caught on fire. And the rest of those men, they were being burned. Okay, so I was, pretty much delivered from that fire, and I was in safety. Okay, so here again, to bring this to a biblical aspect, of course, our rest or our deliverance, the vehicle that's going to be used, of course, is the chariots. Okay, you have to go up into the chariots the same way I went upstairs to the room. Okay, and as we know, once we get into those chariots, or Lord willing, we make it into those chariots, it's going to be during World War III, when those bombs hit here, which is of course going to cause this place to turn into what? A lake of fire, right? So the fact that it was the women in the hooded garments that actually caused the fire, I believe that was just metaphoric to in these last days, them being used as pawns to actually destroy the Israelite man. Okay, like I said, it's already being done right now, but I believe this dream, like I said earlier, is a warning, that, it's going to be turned up a notch. Okay, Satan is really going to be using women even more to cause brothers to be destroyed. Okay, and that's why I'm making this video. Okay, we're gonna go into some precepts, and we're gonna go into two of the main stories that that we can learn from. Two men who they had a downfall because of women. Okay, because the woman was used as a pawn. Okay, but there's many examples in the Bible of that, but I'm gonna choose, or I chose two of them. Okay, but moving forward with the interpretation of the dream, of course, I sat on the edge of the bed. That's why I said this room represented rest. Okay, and at the end of the dream, of course, one of the women that came upstairs into the room, and like I said, they made a comment, as if the men got what they deserved. Okay, and then the dream ended by me saying something along the lines of, you have to respect everybody, or you have to respect others. Okay, and again, I believe that part of the dream, that short conversation, also lets us know that, again, it's not all the women's fault. Okay, a lot of times certain things that brothers go through with women, they bring upon themselves because they lack the wisdom and understanding to actually deal with women. Okay, so I believe that's what that part of the dream was going into as well. Okay, but that's actually my interpretation of the dream. Okay, because like you see in the title, that's why I titled this video this way. Don't fall for the oldest trick in the book. Okay, because a lot of brothers still are. Okay, so now that we've dealt with the dream, let's actually get into a couple of stories. Okay, I'm gonna try to make it as quick as possible, but we're going to get into two stories of two men in the Bible. Okay, two popular men in the Bible. Okay. Now, the first one, it really should be obvious. Like I said, the oldest trick in the book. We're going to go all the way back to the beginning. Okay. And we're going to deal with Adam. Okay. We're going to get this short story because, I know a lot of y'all are already in this walk. But, you might have people who are new to this walk. They may not be too familiar with the story. So we're going to go over it. Okay. We're going to see where Adam fell. Okay. So without further ado, let's get into the precepts. All right. So opening up, this is the book of Genesis chapter 2, starting at verse 16. And like I said, I'm going to try to get right to the point. Okay. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. All right. And it reads, and the Lord God commanded the man. Now, this particular man is talking about Adam, okay? Commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat. Okay, verse 17. It says, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. Okay, so we see straight commandment being given to Adam, not to take of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Okay, but of every other tree of the garden, he can take of those trees. He may freely eat. Now, this is parabolic. Okay, this is a metaphor. Now, a lot of times when you actually read the Bible, when you read about trees, okay, now sometimes it can be talking about literal trees. Or in other instances, like in this instance, trees are or people are likened unto trees. Okay, and that's really what this is going into. Okay, it wasn't literal trees, and it wasn't, well, I'm not going to jump the gun. We're about to get to that. But it's not literal trees. Okay, it's actually dealing with people. All right, I don't want to get too far off topic, but, just to give a little bit of context of what's going on. All right. Now, what did the Most High say would happen if he actually took of the tree of knowledge of good and evil? He told him if he does that, what's going to happen? And the day that he does that, he shall surely die. Keep that in mind. Okay, because the Most High, he told him this verbatim, that he would die. Okay, so with that in mind, let's move forward. So this is Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1, and it reads, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yahweh our power had made. And he said unto the woman, this is Eve, yea, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. Now we clearly just read where the Lord told Adam that he should not take of every tree of the garden. Okay, there was a specific quote unquote tree that he was not supposed to have any dealings with. Okay, now again, this is not a literal serpent as well. Okay, just to give some context, just to bring it up to date, when it's somebody that you don't trust, what do you call them? You call them a snake. Okay, it's just describing the nature of this particular person or group of people. Okay, that's why it says the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. Why is a serpent being compared to a beast? Those are two completely different types of animals. Serpents are reptiles, not beasts. That alone should let you know this is not a literal serpent. Okay, because a lot of times in the Bible, all the nations are referred to as beast. They are likened unto beast people. Okay, even at one point in time in the Bible, the children of Israel are referred to as beasts when we were going off. Okay, but anyway, moving forward, just taking a look at the end of the verse again, it says, and he said, talking about the serpent, he said unto the woman, yea, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. Okay, and this is something that you can bring up to date. Okay, what is the serpent trying to get Eve to do? Okay, he's trying to get her to question the words of God. Okay, and if you bring that up to date, that's a weapon that's being used even today. Okay, mainstream media is trying to get you to question the words of God. Okay, the validity of the Bible in general. Okay, and this is one of the ways that, again, the woman is likened unto the weaker vessel. That's what she's called. Okay, that's why she's more susceptible to, being deceived. Okay, being led away by, different doctrines. Okay, and we see here the serpent is trying to get Eve to question the words of God. Okay, and if you bring that up to date, the modern day serpent, Esau, he could use the woman to try to get you, Israelite man, to question the words of God. Okay, again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Okay, we know a lot of these women are off into these strange, bugged out ideologies. Okay, and they would love to drag you into these ideologies as well. That's really the goal. Okay, so you have to be on point. You have to be on guard when dealing with different women. Okay, know whom you're dealing with. Okay, so now moving forward with the story, this is verse 2, and it reads, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. Okay, which is true. It's not every single tree that you don't have any dealings with. Okay, it's just one specific, as she's about to state in verse 3, and it reads, but of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, which is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Okay, so now we see here that Eve is reiterating what was told to Adam by the Most High, which in turn was passed down to her. Okay, so she's simply repeating that. Now, I want you to notice something. Notice that the serpent did not go directly to Adam. Okay, that should strike you as curious. Okay, because as we've just read, the Most High he spoke directly to Adam. Okay, so why is it that the serpent is speaking directly to Eve? Why didn't he go to Adam? Okay, because we're now seeing that the serpent is about to use Eve as a pawn to cause Adam to fall, because Adam is really the focus right here. Okay, he's the head. Like I said before, you cut off the head and the body will follow. All right. So now let's move forward. This is verse 4, and it reads, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. So that is a complete lie. That's not what the Most High told Adam. He told him the complete opposite. Okay, and again, you cannot tell me that the same thing isn't going on today. We're being taught to do the complete opposite of what the words of the Most High tells us to do. Okay, but moving forward, it says, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then shall your eyes be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Okay, so here you have the serpent, pretty much doing what we see today, feeding the ego of the woman. Okay, it's no surprise why, you see this whole thing about women being goddesses, or the black woman is God and things like that. Okay, it's nothing new under the sun. It's the same recycled doctrine that came from the serpent in the beginning, okay, to deceive the woman. Okay, it's just a recycled doctrine. All right, but Eve is being used as a pawn to get Adam to go against God, to go against the words of the Most High. Okay, that's what we're reading right now. We're seeing how this whole thing transpired. Okay, so moving forward, this is verse 6, and it reads, "And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise." Now notice the Bible said that Eve saw that this particular tree, so to speak, was pleasant to the eyes. Now what should come to mind is what's written, I believe it's in 1 John, how it talks about not to love the world, neither the things that are in the world. Now why is that? It said because all that is in the world is what? The lust of what? The eyes. The lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. Well, it's just so telling that the first thing it really says in verse 6 is that what? This tree was pleasant to the eyes. Okay? It catered to the lust of Eve's eyes, this particular tree. Okay, then it goes on to say, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. Okay, and this alone, it really should let you know it wasn't actual fruit that was given to Eve and Adam. Okay, what they received was a specific doctrine. Okay, they learned left-handed knowledge. That's what was given to them. Okay, it said it's a tree to be desired to make one wise. You don't get wise off of eating something, literally. Okay, like when you hear some information that's hard to believe, a lot of times you'll say that's a hard pill to swallow, or that's hard to digest. Okay, words being likened unto something that you consume. Okay, it's the same concept right here. That's all that's talking about. Okay, it wasn't an apple or an actual piece of fruit. Okay, it's something that both of them learned. Okay, they learned left-handed knowledge, the knowledge of wickedness. Okay, and we're going to get into that in a minute, but that's what's going on here. The serpent gave this to Eve, and in turn, she gave it to Adam. Well, let me not jump the gun. Let's continue. It says, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat. Now watch this. And gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So we see here Eve being used as a pawn to get Adam to go directly against what was instructed to him by the Most High. We already saw in the previous chapter that he was instructed not to take of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, for in the day in which he does so, he would surely die. And Eve has now gotten him to do exactly that. And it's again, in this whole plan, again, she was being used as a pawn. The serpent didn't go directly to Adam. The serpent got to Adam through Eve, the woman. Okay? So now, let's move forward to Ecclesiasticus chapter 19 to give a bit of context to what we just read. All right? And it reads, the knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life. Now this is said, the doctrine of life. And they that do the things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. This is a very interesting choice of words. First, it mentioned the doctrine of life. Then it talked about the tree of immortality. Could this be an allusion to the tree of life? Okay, that was also mentioned in Genesis chapter 3. Okay, but notice it's compared to the knowledge of the commandments. It says the knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life. And they that do the things that please him shall receive of the fruit of the tree of immortality. Okay, so much for, the law is done away with. That's one of the things that leads directly to immortality. Okay, everlasting life. Okay, this coupled with faith in Yahushua. All right. But notice in this verse, there's an allusion to a doctrine coming from the tree of life. So if there's an allusion to, or if Sirach is alluding to a doctrine coming from the tree of life, how do we not come to the conclusion that it's an actual doctrine coming from the tree of knowledge of good and evil as well? Well, you know what? Let's not just talk. Okay, let's get the precept. Let's move down a little bit. So this is now verse 22, and it reads, it says, the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither at any time the counsel of sinners prudence. Now notice it says the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. Why is it that this particular tree that Adam and Eve took of was called the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Again, this was an actual doctrine that was taught to them. They were taught the knowledge of wickedness, left-handed knowledge. This is what was given to Adam and Eve. Okay, but as we see here, the knowledge of wickedness, which was given to Adam and Eve, is not wisdom. Okay, it is very telling that when you read Deuteronomy chapter 4, starting round about the 4th verse, what does it say about the law, statutes, and commandments? It tells us that is our wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations. Okay, and notice what we just read in verse 19 here. The commandments was pretty much called the doctrine of life, which leads to the tree of immortality, or it comes from the tree of immortality, however you want to put it. But do you see the connection there? Okay, I'm just pretty much trying to give you a bit of context of what we were reading in Genesis chapter 3. Okay, Genesis chapter 3 is very metaphoric. Okay, parabolic, so to speak. All right. So moving forward, this is 2nd Ezra chapter 7 and verse 48, and it reads, O thou Adam, what hast thou done? Okay, so reading this, it sounds like what Adam did was very grievous. And it was, because it not only affected Adam, it didn't just affect one person, as we're about to read. Okay, and again, all of this happened because Eve was used as what? A pawn to get him to fall. This is the result of what happened when the woman was used to cause the man to fall. And again, it says, O thou Adam, what hast thou done? For though it was thou that sinned, thou art not fallen alone, but we all that come of thee. That's why people die today. It goes back to what Adam did, the story of Adam and Eve. Okay, and them, taking of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Okay, that's what happened. All right. But again, Eve was the pawn that was used to cause this whole plan to come into play, to come into fruition, to get Adam to fall. All right, let's take a look at this. So this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 25 and verse 24. And it reads, it says, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Why? Because the plan all started with her. The serpent came to her first to use her to get to Adam. Okay, he started with her. He first gave this quote unquote fruit to her, right? And then in turn, she gave it to Adam, and he did eat as well. Okay, that's why it says of the woman came the beginning of sin. The plan started with her. And it says, and through her we all die. All right. So moving forward, this is First Esdras chapter 4 and verse 26. And it reads, it says, yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women, and become servants for their sakes. Now, yes, you can't tell me that this scripture doesn't hold true even today. Okay, but there have been many men that have run out of their wits or lost their minds over women. Okay, that's caused them to make irrational decisions, such as Adam. We just read it. He was told directly by the Most High not to take of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But who was it? Eve caused him to run out of his wits, and he did the exact opposite of what was told him. Okay, it says, many there be that have run out of their wits for women, and become servants for their sakes. Okay, again, you can liken this to the modern day simp. That's really the best explanation I can give you. Okay, men becoming servants to women, when in fact it's supposed to be the other way around. The woman was created to be a servant to the man, to her husband. Okay, but moving forward, this is verse 27, and it reads, it says, many also have perished, have erred, and sinned for women. Did not Adam sin because of Eve? That's why I said the whole dream that I had, I believe, was a warning. Okay, just showing that in these last days, a lot of men are going to be destroyed because of, their dealings with certain women. Okay, the women, just like from the beginning of time, are going to be used as pawns, but even more so in these last days to destroy a lot of you Israelite men. Okay, that's what I believe my dream was about. Okay, so now moving forward, let's go to the second example that I wanted to give, concerning this particular topic. And the second example is going to be dealing with King David. Okay, and how, a woman was used to cause his downfall. Okay, so we're going to go to 2 Samuel and actually get the account of that story between him and Bathsheba. Okay, let's get to it. So this is the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 11, and starting at verse 1. And it reads, and it came to pass, after the year was expired, at the time when the kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. Okay, so everybody else went to battle, but King David stayed behind in Jerusalem during this time. Okay, so let's continue. So this is verse 2, and it reads, "And it came to pass in the eventide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself. And the woman was very beautiful to look upon." Okay, so King David, he gets out of bed and walks on the roof. Okay, the roof of the king's house. And, from the rooftop, he looks and he sees this woman, bathing. Okay, and it says she was very beautiful to look upon. Now, we're going to continue on, but, this woman had to be, she had to be different. She had to be some kind of bad for King David to get to this point where he just had to have her. We're going to see, we're going to continue the story. We're going to see what happened. But, you got to understand, this is back in the ancient times. Okay. It wasn't anything or any such thing as a BBL or breast implants or anything like that. So this woman was completely natural and she was that fine. Okay. But anyway, let's continue. This is verse 3, and it reads, "And David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" Let's pause right there. After King David heard that last part right there, the wife of Uriah the Hittite, that should have been the end of the conversation. That should have been the end of that. He should not have went further, pretty much pursuing this woman because A, she's married. And not only that, B, he knows her husband, okay? Her husband, Uriah, is a part of his army. Okay, Uriah is under King David. Okay. So at this particular point, he finds out she's married. That should be the end of it. But that wasn't it. Okay. Again, a woman is going to be the downfall of King David in this particular story. Okay. But, let's keep this on pause for a minute and let's take a look at this. All right. So this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 9, starting at verse 8. And it reads, it says, "Turn away thine eye from a beautiful woman." Now watch closely. "And look not upon another's beauty." Now, of course, this would apply to this story we're reading with King David. Okay. When dealing with Bathsheba, that's another's beauty. Okay. That beauty belongs to who? Uriah. Okay. She's married to Uriah. That's another man's beauty. Okay. So King David was supposed to turn his eye away from this beautiful woman because she's already spoken for. All right. So the verse continues on and it says what? "For many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman." Okay, and that's exactly what we're reading regarding this story about King David and Bathsheba and Uriah, this quote unquote love triangle, for lack of a better term. Okay. So it goes on to say what? It says, "For herewith love is kindled as a fire." Now, if you want, you could really precept this with, Proverbs chapter 6, where dealing with adultery, it says, can a man take fire to his bosom and not be burned? Okay, that's what this is going into. "For herewith love is kindled as a fire." When you commit adultery, you're playing with fire because eventually you're going to get burned. Okay. But anyway, continuing on, moving forward, this is verse 9, and it reads, It says, sit not at all with another man's wife. Now, as we continue the story with King David, he's gonna, sit with another man's wife and then some. Okay, we're gonna get through the story, but let's get through this precept here. It says, nor sit down with her in thine arms, and spend not thy money with her at the wine. Okay, don't be going out with another man's wife, taking her to the bar, buying her drinks, bringing it up to date, what a lot of men do today. Okay, that's why I said that the end of my dream, I believe it was pretty much pointing out that a lot of times what brothers go through with women, they bring upon themselves as well. Okay, but the verse ends by saying what? Lest thine heart incline unto her, and so through thy desire thou fall into destruction, because that's all adultery is going to lead to. It's going to lead to your destruction ultimately. Okay? So anyway, with that, let's get back to the story with King David, Bathsheba, and Uriah. All right? So this is 2 Samuel chapter 11 and verse 4, and it reads, and David sent messengers, and took her, and she came in unto him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. Okay, so even after King David found out that she was married, he found out who she was married to, he still pursued this woman and wound up committing adultery with her. Okay, that's what happened. So again, we see another instance where, a woman was, the downfall of a man. Okay, and of course this isn't all on Bathsheba. She was a willing participant, of course, but King David knew she was married. Okay, it's really on both of them, But again, dealing with the topic of this video, again, this is another example of a woman being the downfall of a man. Okay, and we have many of these examples in the Bible. Okay, again, the Bible tells us that everything that was written aforetime was written for what? Our learning. Okay. So continuing on, this is verse 5, and it reads, and the woman conceived, oh boy, and sent and told David, and said, I am with child. Now, not only did he commit adultery with this woman, he knew her husband. Now he has gotten a married woman pregnant. This sounds like something straight out of a soap opera. But again, these stories are in here, for our learning, okay? And this is something for us to learn from, because like I said, I believe my dream is a warning, okay? Women are going to be used more and more on a higher level, to cause a lot of brothers to be destroyed in these last days. All right. So now let's jump down a bit and let's get right to the point. Okay, let's read verse 15. And it reads, and he wrote in the letter saying, now this is a letter from King David to, I believe, Joab. Okay. And the letter reads, it says, and he wrote in the letter saying, set ye Uriah. Now remember, Uriah is Bathsheba's husband, and Uriah is in David's army. Okay. Saying, set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. Do you see this? So King David, David is ordering Uriah to be set on the front line of the hottest battle, purposely, so he can die so David could have Bathsheba. Yo, this is crazy. Okay, because what's happening here, David is trying to find a loophole in the law. Okay, because what does the law say? That once a woman's husband dies, that she's loose from the law of her husband. She's free to marry again. Okay, but again, there's no loophole in the law. Okay, you already committed adultery with this woman. Okay, you physically done the deed. Okay, and let's say, for example, you didn't even physically do the deed yet. This really goes into what Yahweh Shai taught when he said, if you even look upon a woman to lust after her, you've already committed adultery with her in your heart. Okay, and this really applies, because after King David saw her bathing, he inquired after her, found out that she was married, and he still pursued her. Okay, if you lust after a married woman, again, sin starts as a thought. Okay, and once that thought is conceived, it gives birth to sin, meaning you physically act on that thought. And that's everything that has transpired in this story. Okay, but there's no loophole in the law. Okay, you've already done the deed. All right. But continuing on, verse 16. This is 2 Samuel, chapter 11 and verse 16. And it reads, "And it came to pass, when Joab observed the city, that he assigned Uriah unto a place where he knew that valiant men were." Okay, so this letter that King David wrote to Joab, he actually, did everything that David commanded within the letter. Okay, so he set Uriah in the forefront of the battle. All right, so let's continue. So this is verse 17, and it reads, "And the men of the city went out and fought with Joab, and there fell some of the people of the servants of David." Now watch closely. "And Uriah the Hittite died also." And he died, why? Because King David put the man in the forefront of the battle, all over a woman named Bathsheba. All of this over a woman. Again, the woman used as a pawn to get to King David. All right. So this is just another one of many examples of, a woman being a man's downfall. Okay. And these were mighty men. Okay. A lot of these are mighty men of renown in the Bible. Okay. This is King David. And we know how the Most High feels about King David. Okay, he felt very highly of King David. He thought very highly of him. He said, "David is a man after mine own heart, which shall fulfill all my will." Correct? And still, this was even after David committed adultery. He still felt, very highly of King David. Okay? But that still doesn't, excuse what David did. Okay, the Most High is not a respect of persons. David still paid for that, in a lot of ways. A lot of calamity fell upon, his house. Okay, starting with that very first child that he conceived with Bathsheba out of quote unquote wedlock. Okay, the Most High killed that child, caused it to become sick, and it died. Okay, I believe it's in, what is it? Is it Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3? Or is it, I believe it's Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3. It talks about how, a child born from an unlawful bed, pretty much won't live out its days, roughly paraphrasing. Okay. But, that's what happened with that particular story. All right. So from here, let's go back. Let's go back to 1 Esdras chapter 4, and let's get these two precepts here, and let's end it right here, because this applies to this story dealing with King David as well. All right. And it reads, Yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women. And boy, did King David run out of his wits for Bathsheba. we clearly see that in that particular story, okay? I mean, what he did with Uriah, that was premeditated. But again, this story was written for our learning, okay? Especially you men, all right? Myself included. I'm not excluded from this as well, But the verse continues on, and it says, and have become servants for their sakes, okay? Verse 27, and it reads, it says, many also have perished, have erred, and sinned for women. Okay, a lot of this pretty much sums up what we just read with that particular story with King David. Okay, but again, that's there for us to learn from, to learn from King David's mistakes as well as Adam's and the many other men in the Bible whom fell due to women being used as that pawn to cause them to fall. All right, but anyway, I believe this is actually a good place to end the video. And again, the title of this video is Israelite Man, Stop Falling for the Oldest Trick in the Book, especially in these last days. Dream Edition. So of course, this particular video was inspired by a dream that I had. Like I said, it was Wednesday night going into Thursday. Okay, and I believe this dream was pretty much a message or a warning. Okay, because like I said before, this is the oldest trick in the book. Women, from the beginning of time have been used as pawns to get to the man, because the man is the head, right? But I believe in these last days, Satan is really gonna use this particular trick, this old trick. He's gonna turn it up a notch, and a lot of brothers are gonna come to destruction, that ultimate destruction. They're gonna be burnt with that fire that's coming. Due to a lot of their dealings with women. Okay, that's why you brothers, have to be vigilant on how you deal with different sisters. Okay, you have to use wisdom at all times when dealing with these sisters. And if you're a servant of the Most High, you're doing what you have to do, as the scriptures tell you. He'll make a way to escape her, the wicked woman. Okay, but anyway, with that, of course, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And I want to thank all you brothers and sisters for tuning in. And I hope this video was informative and edifying. And until next time, Shalom, family.